Hello, everybody. I'm Derek.
I'm Blake.
I'm Alex, and welcome to 1 Hour One-Offs.
Every episode, we will pit a DM versus a player in an epic duel.
The DM must create a one-off campaign designed for a single player that takes 1 real-life hour to complete.
At the end of that hour, no matter what, the session is over, and a winner is determined.
We have a rotation of DMs and players, as well as settings and systems set up to keep each episode fresh and exciting.
So without further ado, welcome
to 1 Hour One-Offs.
Welcome, dear listeners, back to 1 Hour One-Offs. This is the second episode. I'm Blake. I'll be DMing for you this session. Alex will be your moderator.
Hello, everybody.
And Derek will be the player.
Hi.
For those of you unfamiliar with Call of Cthulhu, or Deeper Sense systems in general for that matter, the way this works is that all skills or attributes that are tested have a value somewhere between 1 and 99. And when tested, the player throws a combination of two 10-sided dice that will combine, one being the tens digit, the other the ones, to give a percentile value. That value is below the attribute being tested, the check is a success. If it's above, it's a failure. Sometimes, however, a situation will dictate that the test be easier or harder than the standard value, normal, effectively. And in those instances, I will say, make the check at plus or minus some value, where the value will be added to or subtracted from the skill, not the roll. Very important difference.
Yeah, why don't you go into some of the little things that make this unique, like sanity, especially.
How could I forget? Yes. So this system has another derived stat besides health that you need to worry about called sanity. And the way that works is when a player sees something significantly unsettling, they try to roll under their sanity value, like a skill check. And if they fail, they're guaranteed to take sand damage in a similar fashion as you might normally take health damage. And if they succeed, sometimes they take sand damage even if they succeed, but...
Yeah. Sometimes you're just rolling to mitigate consequences rather than avoid them.
Exactly. Especially with me.
Yes, and I'm just gonna butt in a little bit here because I'm a huge Lovecraft nerd as well. Blake and I are both huge Lovecraft nerds.
Yes, absolutely.
For those of you who are not familiar with Lovecraft mythos or literature, it's very much about making the participant or reader feel hopeless and against unstoppable odds. So there are a lot of situations and mechanics built into this system that are not exactly friendly towards the player, but are instead meant to help, really drive home that sense.
That being said, while I do adore the Lovecraft mythos, we will not be using it this session, so no prior knowledge is needed.
Perfect.
All right. Last call. Anything else?
Derek, any last words?
Oh, that makes it sound horrible, but no.
Accurate.
I think I'm good. Oh, actually, this is my first experience with the Call of Cthulhu system, so please bear with me. I'm pretty confident, but maybe I'll slip up.
Oh, you should introduce your character.
Today I'm playing Jeff Siken, a 20-year-old guitarist from small-town Connecticut. He's a traveling folk artist who lives out of the van his parents took to Woodstock, so he's pretty much your poorest possible musician. He plays the guitar and has a small following on his music blog. He mostly plays at conventions and geek meetups, but his music's been in a bit of a rut for the last year or so. It's mostly about space and hope, but he also does some more lighthearted stuff, which, to his chagrin, is much better received by his audiences. His biggest hit would be Can an Emo Girl and a City Boy Really Build a Dyson Sphere from his Peace and Long Life album. He's also got a boyfriend, a tattoo artist in Cheyenne, and 2 living parents back in Connecticut. A stranger has left him a mansion. It's old and beaten down, actually. But today he's driving up to the old house to hopefully go into some kind of formative musical retreat, like that Emerson guy.
Born of playing Darkest Dungeon and staring perhaps too long and too deep at cover art for death metal albums, this session will test the player character almost exclusively mentally, running them throughout a house that remains plagued by an ancient curse. Set in the modern era, but in an area with neither cell service nor internet. In the basement of this home, an old secret buried in blood and bone awaits, a perverse ritual to an unholy god. The antediluvian evil hidden below ground will warp and change both the house and reality itself around the player to confuse and drive them mad. The biggest question this poses is, will Derek find the hints to put a stop to the spreading corruption, or will he get lost in the tumor upon reality that incarcerates the character and so doom mankind to the malicious will of the eldritch abomination? Alright, and we will start with you walking up to the door.
All right, timer has begun.
All right.
To say the mansion is old would be an understatement. It looks as though it has been here centuries. Perhaps it started as a colonial house made of little more than wood and bricks, and over the years, well, let's just say a couple centuries of human influence and acid rain have done the structure no favors.
Oof. Does it look like structurally sound?
It's
Is Jeff
it's
gonna be like
structurally
camping in his
sound,
van?
but it's rough. A few of the windows are boarded up. Some of the others are cracked. The roof is broken in places and sagging in others.
But can Jeff poke around without the thing collapsing?
Oh yes, yes.
All right, he's gonna try the door then.
The door is locked, but with the notice you had inherited this place, you were given a key to it.
All right, I'm gonna take that key out then and use it on the lock.
The lock is old, of a much older style even, and rusty, but after some trying, it eventually gives, and the door creaks open to reveal a foyer that has not seen proper maintenance in a long time. The furniture is discarded, in disarray, old, moth-eaten, and covered in dust. There's a room on your right, two rooms on your left. The two rooms on the left take up that entire wall, effectively. The one on your right, little under half the wall. And at the back of the floor is an old and weathered spiral staircase.
Huh. Okay. I'm gonna stick my head in that room to the left then.
Which one on your left there, too?
Oh, excuse me. I'm gonna stick my head in the one room to my right.
Alright. So, despite being covered in dust and seeming as though it hasn't been used in at least decades, you can still clearly tell that this room used to be a library.
Used to be. So are there like any books left around?
Yes, after skimming through for a little while, you eventually come across one book a piece of a book that remains legible. Question is now, do you speak Latin?
Not even a bit. The only Latin phrase that Jeff knows is ad astra per aspera, and even then it's just because he needed it for an album title.
Nice. Yeah, well, I'm afraid that without any knowledge of Latin, you are unable to decipher the paper.
Unfortunate. Well, how's the floor looking in this room? Is it like as cluttered with like broken furniture and stuff?
No, but that seems like a little more because the furniture in this room beforehand was, maybe a desk and a couple chairs.
Okay.
Those, however, are not in great condition.
Okay, yeah. No, Jeff's got blankets. He'll mark this in his head as a possible room to like sleep in. And head back into the foyer.
Alright.
The foyer. Okay, there are 2 rooms to the left. Jeff is going to head into. Can we call one of them the first room?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, do you want that to be the one closer or farther to the door?
Closest to the door, please.
All right. So, upon entering, you are practically assaulted with the smell of rotten eggs.
Oh no. Gross.
Despite that, however, you don't actually see any food in here. It looks like this place may have once been a kitchen, but all that's left of that is an old and disused stovetop that seems to be dusted with a kind of yellow powder.
Ugh, sulfur. Wait, actually, does Jeff need like a science roll to know that? He knows a bit about science because he likes stars.
Um, do you have anything in the chemistry skill?
Not even a bit.
All right. Then make me an idea roll.
I will, however, perhaps butt in and say that as the moderator, sulfur specifically may be able to be considered common knowledge.
You know what? That's fair. Yeah, you can reasonably conclude that this is sulfur.
Okay, thanks. And thanks, Alex. Alright, Jeff's gonna like spin around so quick and walk out of the kitchen. Maybe cough a bit, gag, and check out the next room over.
All right. So this room is interesting because, I mean, I say that the house itself is on a hill, but even with that, you wouldn't really expect a telescope to be found on the first floor. And
Huh. Is there a window for it?
yeah, there's a window for it.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
I cut you off.
No, all good. Yeah, there's a telescope on as you're facing the back, the left wall pointed out a window that, towards its base, is wrapped in hexagonal metal wires. Kind of looks like steel, but it's faded, so you're not 100% sure what it is. And next to the telescope is what may have once been an old work table that has one very dusty, very yellowed note on it.
Jeff is gonna walk over to that table then and try to read that note without actually touching it, picking it up. It's kind of gross, isn't it?
Yeah, a little. It's fairly dusty. But through that, you can still make out the single word Yakta.
Yakta. Could I get a spelling?
Iacta.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is the telescope covered? Uncovered? Like,
It's
how's the
strange. It's
eyepiece?
uncovered, but there doesn't appear to be much dust on it. And as you look closer at it, you can see that the metal wires are etched in something. You can't see what it is, but you can tell that there is something clearly marked on them.
Interesting. And like you said, hexagonal metal wires. Do these like resemble, the kind of thing you see around a playground in modern times, or no?
No, not really. It's closer to if someone, it's not copper, but if someone were to take that like thick electrical grade copper and bend that into hexagons and cover an area with those.
I see. I see. Interesting. Jeff's gonna take a photo of that, text it to his boyfriend if there's reception up here, and be like, "Yo, check this out."
I'd forgotten to mention that. This house is, and like the surrounding.
Well, this could be how he discovers it too.
That's fair.
Yeah, we could just do it in narrative.
Yeah. This is a complete dead zone.
Oof.
No internet or cell service of any kind.
Unfortunate. Alright, all the same, Jeff's gonna keep a picture for the blog, the boyfriend, the family, maybe.
Fair.
Alright. Alright, so how's the telescope eyepiece? Is it covered? Can he look through it?
Yeah.
Alright, Jeff's gonna wait, make sure the telescope's not pointed at like the sun first.
Yeah. It's currently focused somewhere off over the trees in the opposite direction of the sun.
What time of day is it right now?
Evening.
Okay, so the telescope faces the east.
Oh, wait, no, then I read my notes wrong. No, the telescope faces west, so it would actually be in the sun right now.
Oh, oof. Jeff's gonna not look at that till night falls then.
Jeff's making a bold assumption.
Jeff lives in a world where he can count on the sun to set. So yeah, he's gonna just spin, walk out of the room, keep exploring.
Alright.
By the way,
up.
we are at the first time interval.
Thank you.
Huh. Is something going to happen? I guess not. Narrative continues.
Something has happened. You will probably discover it later.
Okay. Hopefully. Yeah, Jeff is going to examine the spiral staircase, see how it looks.
It's definitely old, but it also seems fairly structurally sound.
Alright, Jeff walks up that thing.
Alright, so walking up that, first of all, do you stop at the next floor, or do you go all the way up to the third floor?
Jeff is going to go floor by floor, bottom up, so next floor, please.
Alright, there is one room on your left that appears to take up the entire wall, and 2 rooms on your right that appear to roughly evenly divide that wall.
Alright, room on the left, please.
Alright, so this looks like it is, or perhaps used to be, a master bedroom. There's still, like, the outline of a bed, even if it's clearly no longer usable. There is an old and faded painting on the north wall and what looks like the remnants of a bar on the south wall.
Alright, Jeff is gonna walk up to that painting and take a close look at it.
Alright, give me a perception roll of some kind.
So just straight up. Sorry, perception? Would this be like
Oh,
spot hidden?
Spot hidden, that's what I was looking for.
Thank you. Alright. That is a 16, so Jeff is underneath his 25 skill.
Alright. Let's see here, let me look at the note. Does Jeff know Greek?
Not at all.
Then Jeff is unable to read the note.
Unfortunate. Well, Jeff's gonna take a picture of the note and then a picture of the painting. No flash.
The painting is old and covered in dust. What remains of the artwork is not really visible, but you can see perhaps the vague suggestion of ice flows.
Ice flows. Interesting. Okay. And then Jeff's gonna walk over to the bar and check behind it.
Alright, so while most of the bar has been slowly destroyed by time, there seems to remain one bottle of hard liquor that has weathered the storm. The label is gone, but you can tell it's hard liquor.
Oh, like just Jeff open it up and give it a sniff?
I mean, that's up to you, but, like, it's A warm brown liquid that is clearly still in an elegant glass bottle.
Okay, does the ceiling seem okay?
Yeah, ceiling seems decent, and if you smell it, it smells like fairly aged rye.
Okay, seems good. Jeff's gonna put that on top of the bar for now. Think about drinking it later. Also consider sleeping in this room instead when he does set up camp.
Fair
And
enough.
head over to the rooms on the right, and he's going to go to the one closer to the entrance first.
All right.
You're just about 10 seconds off it being 15 minutes, by the way.
15 minutes?
Yes.
Oh, then we are one behind.
No, I already said the first one.
Oh, was that the 10
That was
minute
the
mark?
10-minute one, yeah.
Oh, then I'm at okay. So yeah, I'll have that go here. So first of all, this room looks like it was once a study. There's a desk and some notes around you. But as you look at at your surroundings, you notice something odd. The desk, the floor, the light all starts to turn a cold blue. Before you know it, your breath fogs in front of your face, and the floor becomes rimed with a light hoarfrost.
What the heck? Jeff's gonna back the heck out of that room, shiver a bit.
As you leave the room, the hallway too maintains this brief illusion. You see that in place of regular brick and mortar walls, they're wrought from carved ice. But as quickly as the illusion comes, it goes. Roll me sanity.
Okay. And that is a 51, which is under. I think my sanity is 55 right now.
Alright, take 1 sand damage.
Oh, okay.
Alright,
Alright.
Alex, you said 15 minutes had passed as well?
Yep.
Alright, so just as you thought the nightmare was over, as the cold had vanished from your surroundings, the building changes entirely. Suddenly, you are no longer in a small house in the middle of nowhere. You're in a city, an entire city carved from ice, ringed around a massive central ziggurat, and underneath a sky of pure ice as well.
So if Jeff looks up from a window, there's like ice high above him?
Well, yes, but you're also no longer inside at all.
Oh. Oh no. Is there at least like any structure resembling the previous house? Like, is there a staircase somewhere? Am I on some kind of?
No, you're surrounded. There are buildings. It looks like this may have once been a town, but for the time being, there doesn't appear to be a house around you.
Jeff's gonna like close his eyes, open them, make sure, like maybe like stomp on the floor a bit, put his hand on some ice, feel it.
As soon as you press your hand on the ice and feel the cold burn your skin, like that, you are brought back to the house in the middle of the hallway. Roll me sanity again.
While he's rolling that, I am going to continue to do this for the rest of these, but I'll pause during those descriptions.
Okay.
So that you can feel free to take your time with them.
Thank you.
Makes sense, thanks. Alright. I am under my current sanity again.
Alright, take 1 sand damage again.
Okay.
And once again, you are in that second floor hallway.
Alright, Jeff is going to not go into the. Well, actually, you know what? Jeff is going to, like, go back down the stairway, like try to exit the house. He's freaking out right now.
The door is sealed shut.
Does Jeff have like the key?
You can try the key if you want.
Does the key work from this side? Yeah, Jeff tries that.
The key fits the lock, but it's... You hope it can be dismissed as a quirk of metal fatigue and rust, but the key quickly becomes lodged in the lock. And
Can Jeff get it back out?
will neither turn nor come loose.
Oh no. Okay, Jeff's gonna zip into the second room on the left, telescope one, and try to unlatch the window.
The window is also locked shut.
Oof. How thick is that window?
Pretty thick.
Jeff's gonna try to break it anyways.
All right.
Heck yeah, he owns this place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his house.
Give me a melee skill roll. Or hand to hand. I think base chance is 50%.
Like hand to hand, as in
It should
brawling,
be
or as in like unarmed weapon? Fighting brawl?
Yeah.
Oh, it's 25. And I rolled a 58.
Yeah, you like...
Ow, my hand.
Yeah, you throw your weight into the punch and your hand just sort of bounces off the window.
Unfortunate. Jeff is going to push this roll and try again.
Okay.
And that is a 28, which still does not cut it.
Yeah. Alex, roll d4 damage for him.
That is a 4.
2. That's unfortunate. So yeah, you
Okay.
take 4 damage from trying and failing to break the window.
Okay. Yeah, Jeff's body kind of like crunches up against the window and he feels like something in his shoulder pop and he backs off and he's swearing real hard, you know, grabs his shoulder. Ow. Frick. Okay. He's gonna give up on that for now and kind of try to like quickly move through the rooms one by one and like see if there are like any windows that are open. So that would be second floor, second.
So, do you go
doorway
back
first.
into the kitchen?
Does Jeff remember a kitchen window large enough to exit from?
I mean, yeah, I guess. The kitchen would be ground floor.
Yeah, Jeff slips back into the kitchen room first.
So, where there was a window, or where you could have sworn there was a window, there is now a door.
Try the door. Jeff tries the door.
It is unlocked, and leads you
Nice.
to the room. It's furnished but empty. The strange thing, however, is that the furnishings
Furnished but
look
empty?
almost new.
Mm-hmm.
The decor is much the same as the rest of the house, but without much of the wear and tear.
And we are coming up on the
Jeff's
40-minute mark.
Creeped out.
Wait, 40 minutes?
We are currently at 40 minutes. It's been 20. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my bad.
Had me panicked for a second there.
Bro, Jeff's also panicked.
Yeah, so roll me sanity again.
Mm-hmm. Also, how is starting sanity calculated while I roll? I've been using 55 because it's on my autocalc sheet.
Autocalc is probably right. It's power times 5.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Not equal to power? My power is 55.
Oh, okay, then it is equal to power. My mistake.
I've paused while we discussed the rules, by the way.
Thank you, then I'm doing this fine. Well, I came in above my sanity this time. 73 to 53.
Okay, resuming.
You're killing me here. um, yeah, and I'll let you slide on sand damage for this one.
Huh. Okay, thanks. Alright, and this room, what sort of room is it? Like, what's its purpose?
It just kind of looks like a sitting area.
No windows?
No windows.
Alright, Jeff leaves. Back up to the second floor, a second room on the left, the one that is... Oh, sorry, second room on the right, the one that is not the desk, and he, like, tries not to even look into the desk room. Where things got blue.
Ah, yes. So, this room, while the furnishings are currently in shambles, desiccated by age, strewn around the room, it was once a master bathroom, and set into the east wall is a door.
From Jeff's memory, like, looking at the outside of the house, would this door, like, reasonably lead to another room?
It
That would have
didn't
not
look
just
like
appeared.
there should be another room here when you first came up.
Oof. Yeah. Jeff's gonna try that door anyways.
It's
He
open and
feels
leads
bad about
to
it,
a
though.
room. It's
Okay.
another sitting area, much like the first one.
Alright, Jeff backs the heck out of it and goes up to the third floor.
Alright. So, directly across from where you came from the top of the staircase is a room that appears to take up the entire north half of the floor. On your left is another room that appears to take up a decent chunk of space. There was once a door, you can see from the frame, but inside you can see just rubble.
Huh. Okay. Is there a window on the other side of the rubble room? Or even better, an opening to the outside?
There is not.
Jeff's crying, guys. Alright, north room.
No windows in here either, but this is the most intact room you've seen thus far.
Including the sitting rooms?
Okay, no, besides the sitting rooms.
Oh, okay.
No. This is a much larger, much more well-furnished library. Many of the tomes are old, moth-eaten, and dubiously legible at best. But if you want to search for them, there are two, at least semi-legible pieces.
Can these be identified at a glance? Like, can Jeff just look and be like, oh yeah, those two look like I could actually read them?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, then he's gonna, like, take a look at both then.
Alright, so there's one on the north wall and one on the east wall. Which do you take first?
North wall first.
Okay. A decent chunk of the ink is long since smeared, but what you can decipher is, and this is a true blessing, actually in English.
Nice.
Ancient whispers tell of an evil from beyond the furthest stars, an entity which exists only to consume. It is an utterly alien malignity that will corrupt and consume all around it unless stopped. That is the only passage that is legible.
That's kind of horrible. Alright, Jeff is going to look into the other book now.
It appears to be a geological report. It seems to say that the soil around this area is particularly heavy in nitrogen, sulfur, and phosphorus.
Can Jeff try to remember anything unique about these three elements in conjunction?
How much experience does Jeff have with firearms?
Firearms. He has the base 20% handgun, 25% rifle shotgun.
I mean, between that and matches, you can guess that, you would know sulfur and phosphorus are both flammable.
Oh, interesting.
You'd have to make me a chem roll of some kind to get a nitrogen connection.
Chem isn't even on my sheet.
Oof.
Alright, yeah. I'm using the...
Is there like alchemy or something? Because it's meant to be like 1920s.
Oh, yeah, good point.
No, I'm using Modern Era Investigator sheet from the Chaosium website.
Ah, makes sense. What's the closest thing you have to a chemistry?
Science, and Jeff has put 50 occupation points into that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, give me a science roll.
64, which is above my 51. Sorry, 94.
Damn, I did your last sanity roll wrong. That's on me. So it's above the roll. You can't really figure out what nitrogen is doing on this list.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Alright.
I mean, you can
This
maybe
has been-
get that it means, the soil is good because nitrogen is used in fertilizers, but that's about it.
Okay, scary.
There is also a stairwell in the northeast corner that leads up.
Of this library.
Yes.
Okay, Jeff goes up that.
It is an attic. An old, worn attic. In the southwest corner of it, you see a bizarre statue. It looks kind of like someone molded a bunch of jagged rocks around a human frame, but there's not really a trace of the human frame left. Akin to an artist erasing his pencil sketch.
I see.
And by this bizarre statue is an old and worn journal.
Okay. What are the vibes coming off this statue? Is it, like, pretty? Is it, like, disturbing? Can Jeff make it into an album cover?
I mean, I could see it being worked into an album cover. The stone looks somewhere between granite and obsidian, so take that how you will.
Dark and kind of weird then.
Yeah.
Jeff is gonna take a photo with flash and a photo without.
Alright.
This is all on his phone, by the way.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna pick up that journal.
Is he going to read it?
Yeah, flip through it, try to figure out what's going on.
Alright, so about 2 pages are legible. Do you want to read all of it, or just try to skip through it?
Oof. Jeff is going to read all of it, but, like, as he's doing it, he's also gonna, like, kind of pace through the house and, like, pass by each room, glancing into them.
Okay.
He's anxious.
Yeah, we're about to hit 30 minutes, having passed, which is a 5, a 10, and a 15.
Okay. So, as you pick up the journal, the room around you seems to melt away for a moment.
Oh no.
And in place of the original of the statue, you see a perverse kind of throne. A hideous, mangled thing that appears to be wrought from human skulls and spines on a blackened, twisted, dying world surrounded by the inky void. There are no stars in the sky.
Oof. Yikes.
No light coming from it, and as you look into the darkness, you begin to feel it looking back at you. You can feel this tide welling up in the back of your mind, and as it is about to crash to a 4, you are wrenched back into the attic.
Yikes.
Give me a sand check at -20.
Okay.
Just to clarify for the audience, that subtracts 20 from his attribute.
Yes.
Alright, this is a cool 87, far above my modified sanity.
Alex, give me d12 sand damage.
Oof.
Oh no.
Alright, that's a 3, so you came out pretty lucky there.
Alright.
Thank you.
Alright. As you are reeling from that, breathing heavily, perhaps, from the experience, you realize it's not over.
Oh no.
The room around you has gone flat, blank, and featureless, save for an altar surrounded by hooded and robed figures. If you look closer, you can see each of them holding, I would say, a dagger, but that would be rather disingenuous. The blade seems to be wrought from shadow itself, flickering in and out of reality. You can't see what's on the altar, but you can hear them, for it is clearly a person, screaming in pain as each of the ritualists in turn plunges their perverse athenes into the writhing figure.
Do the ritualists notice Jeff?
They
Is
do
Jeff
not.
stuck here?
They appear completely enthralled by the process. And as you look at them, you see their shadows growing longer and deeper. The room itself
Jeff's not brave.
seems to flicker, and as the flickering starts to come to a head, instead of wrenching you to whatever bizarre other world these ritualists were trying to gain entrance to, you are at last brought back to the attic. Give me another sanity roll.
Okay. 97. Beats my sanity by quite a bit.
Alex, 2d6.
2d6. That is a 1. And a 2. The d6 for the so we're still paused from the description, but for the audience at home, we were rolling that d6 earlier, and that is the 4th one we have gotten off of it in like 10 rolls.
That die is cursed. All
Cursed
right.
to my benefit.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Time
So
resumed.
now that we have gone through all of that, first I'll describe you pacing the house, then I'll get to the journal.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you peek through the rooms, you can see that some of the rubble from that room has gone, revealing a path that leads to a door.
Huh.
The study is no longer blue and icy. It looks, as it briefly did, just an old study.
Mm-hmm.
And there is another door in the east wall of the library.
Which library?
The ground floor library.
Okay.
Now, the journal. I can feel the essence of this place seeping into my bones, and I have come to accept that there is no denying death anymore. In the hopes that my successor finds this place, I will chronicle my journey thus far here. I studied archaeology for most of my time in university, hoping that that would mean I'd be going to dig sites around the world, which I eventually did. During my first one, somewhere in the mountains of South America, I discovered a tablet that none of the professors present could recognize. Accompanied with petroglyphs, it was relatively clear that the tablet was religious in nature. It was taken as an historical artifact and kept by the university as a curio, but I was allowed pictures, of course. In my spare time, I pored over them as much as I could. I was fascinated by what I had uncovered, and I knew that there had to be more. What I told no one, however, was that I had also found a small rock by the tablet that etched out a rough picture of a throne. I don't know what compelled me to take it, but I did. I slipped it into my pocket and smuggled it back into my dorm room. It was another 5 years before I found anything else, and it was, as last time, completely on accident. When I found another, similarly etched tablet and rock pair buried in the Syrian desert in much the same way, I knew that I had to be right. There had to be some great significance behind the carvings if much the same set were found on nearly opposite sides of the world. To prove my point, I sold the tablet to a museum to fund a small expedition to Antarctica. I took only a skeleton crew with me, and we made our way deep into the ice continent. The few outposts we passed en route were happy enough to house us for a day, but we always cleared out quickly before moving closer to the South Pole. I'm unsure of what compelled me, but when we at last reached our destination, I placed both of the throne tokens I had found on the ground, and I was astonished to see a crack split the ice beneath us. Stairs carved into the ice led down into a megalithic city that all was carved from solid ice. All of us were both astonished and elated at the find and quickly moved down the stairs. But by the time we had reached the bottom, the way closed to us much as the same as it had been shut before, and with as much trace. The Cyclopean ice structures fanned out on all sides of us, and somehow our instruments confirmed what we all felt. This place was much warmer than the ice would have us believe, so we quickly threw our coats atop the rest of our pack and moved into the city proper. There were signs carved into the ground and buildings, all in the same quasi-cuneiform that the original tablet had been written in. And upon closer inspection, we saw that everything seemed to slope upwards into a ziggurat that, impossibly, seemed to curve into the hyperbolic, the higher one looked at on the structure. Amazed, we started our way up the structure, only to be forced to use our climbing equipment partway up in fighting the non-Euclidean design. When we reached the top of the ziggurat, however, we were greeted with a profane throne wrought principally from human spines and skulls that sent one of us careening over the edge of the stairwell in horror. The rest of us were entranced, and we spent days there attempting to divine the purpose of the throne, before it spoke to, bade me kill the others. I resisted, but sat the throne regardless, hoping to divine some of its nature thus, and now I wish I hadn't. I was greeted with the leering face of a skull that had its jaws sewn together, fleshy threads that cast a sickening, incarnadine light over the rest of the face, and were pushed through bone that was molded as though made of flesh, set against a black hood and haloed with a pale, baleful light that cocked its head at me, as if intrigued more than anything, and then the vision faded, leaving me trembling and drenched in sweat. I immediately called the expedition off, and after describing my vision to the others, we all quickly packed up our remaining gear and made our way back to society. In the coming years, however, the face would come to haunt my dreams, for night after night. Eventually, I gave in, and found pictures of my finds once more, and after days of unending study, I came to a terrifying understanding. It is a mercy that we now think ourselves alone in this universe, and all our myriad delusions of religion amount to are brief glimpses at the ancient and unknowable horrors that await us, that seek us. So it was I came to build this house, a house which holds a small observatory atop a hill in the middle of nowhere, somewhere that I may observe the heavens in the hopes of learning more. It seems, however, that I have learned too much. My ritual telescope, guarded in warded tungsten wrapped in hexagonal patterns and overlaid in their perverse cuneiform, has let me see far too much more than man should, and it was with that knowledge that I made the thing in the basement. The passage I hid under the workbench. The workers who made it and the passage under it were later fed to serve my quest for knowledge. Using dark alchemical rites, I slaughtered them like cattle and bound what I had called into their bones, fused into a hideous throne before a dark altar. Whoever you are, if you have found this, then you have likely found and opened my old chest. This thing must be stopped. Dilute the vitriolite, use that to scourge the thing, then set aflame in the scars left behind. Be careful. The pattern must perfectly decorate the altar with a hexagram, perfectly inlaid with a hyperbolic star. This must then be large enough such that a flame to burn away haunted bones that have been purged by carefully chanting De stellaris discedi, igne morti disanem te, et hais res iactho te mundo, iam throic ti eno, exactly thrice while pacing anti-clockwise around them and coating them in sulfur powder. I would suggest you hurry, too. This building is no longer a building. It is a cancer that I, in my folly, have let metastasize to this place. Thus ends the journal.
Okay, Jeff is gonna, zip all the way down, try the door one last time.
The
He's
entrance,
very afraid. Yes.
it is locked shut.
Alright, he's gonna
Honestly, roll me sanity after reading that journal.
25 underneath my current value of 47.
Alright, take one.
Also, the next 5-minute thing passed.
Alright. Yikes. Okay. Jeff is going to move into the kitchen. Are there any containers around that he could use to take the sulfur powder?
Not that you can see at the moment.
Oh god. Um, Vitriolite was mentioned, right? Jeff is going to go back up to the master bedroom with the bar, take the bottle of liquor. Is this something that is needed? Per the journal's instructions?
You know that the journal mentioned setting a fire, and it is clearly strong, so it could be used for that.
You're right, you're right. Okay, Jeff is going to start carrying that around then
Alright.
to use it for fuel at some point. Container. How how do we carry sulfur powder?
There are broken bottles around the bar.
Oh, then Jeff is going to grab like the biggest like square bottom large, flask type
Yeah.
shard that he can.
Yeah, no,
And
you
use
can
that to
you can
keep
get a decent
sulfur
amount
in.
of sulfur powder into. You find a bottle you can fit a decent amount of powder into.
Okay. Did the journal mention what the hexagram hyperbolic star inside it had to be made of?
It said it had to be etched into the altar by whatever diluting vitriolite would mean. It also mentioned an old chest, and you haven't seen one of those anywhere around here.
Alright. Jeff is gonna try the new room in the ground floor library that he noticed earlier.
It is just another empty sitting area.
Was there any difference between the three sitting areas?
No.
Oof. Okay. Basement. Did Jeff see any passages that could potentially have led to a basement?
He did not, but the journal mentions the passage I hid under the workbench.
Under the workbench. Alright. That's gonna put Jeff in the second room on the left on the ground floor,
Yes.
where there's the telescope.
So, you're
Mm-hmm.
in the room with the telescope and the workstation.
Alright, Jeff is going to like look at the note again, look at the workstation and like say Yakta.
No such luck, but roll me spot hidden.
Spot hidden. That is an 18, which is underneath my 25.
You notice that the ground by the workbench is heavily scuffed.
Oh, damn, it's hella scuffed, guys. Oof. Like, as if the workbench has been pushed over it?
You could say that, yeah.
Alright, Jeff's gonna try and push the workbench over to that patch of ground then.
What's Jeff's strength?
My guy has 30 strength.
Yeah, it takes some doing, but you manage to push the workbench away, revealing an old, worn-down passageway hewed into the bare ground that leads down.
Phone flashlight into the passage. Jeff goes.
All right. So, you go down an old earthen staircase for a decent amount of time before you eventually come to a crossroads.
Go right.
Both ways are lit with old sconces that somehow, despite their unknowable age, still remain burning.
All right, and 40 minutes has just passed.
All right. As you stand at the crossroads, you can taste burnt meat and smell smoke.
Where's it coming from?
As you stand there, it becomes overwhelming, choking you,
Mm-hmm.
slowly clouding your vision until all you can see is thick, black smoke.
Alright, Jeff hits the ground, goes prone, tries to get under the smoke layer.
Even doing that does nothing to help it, until a couple minutes later, as quickly as the smoke came, it vanishes. Roll me sanity.
77, above 46.
Alex D8.
All right. We're really hitting the full spectrum. That's a 2.
Yep. I swear one of these is gonna roll high eventually.
Just hit me with that 8d6.
The sneak attack sand damage.
I was thinking a fireball of it, but yeah, that works too.
No, I'm just waiting for you to really beef a roll, and then I can hit you with like 2d20.
Beefed it.
Scary.
Yeah. Crossroads.
Alright. Jeff gets back up, heads down to the right.
Okay. You follow this earthway, I suppose, not really a hallway, for a couple dozen meters until it starts to curve. That goes down a little ways until the passage forks again.
Jeff keeps going right,
Dead end.
goes back to the second crossroads, goes left. Actually, no, examines the dead end. Why is there a dead end? That's hella weird.
It's strange. Honestly, it looks more than anything like this was the edge of a cave-in.
Can Jeff kind of like scrabble at the wall? Does that seem like a dumb move?
This isn't like a cave-in as in some of the pathways blocked. This is a cave-in as in, like, if you want to try to get through it, that's meters upon unknowable meters of solid rock.
Okay, yeah, Jeff goes back to the second crossroads. Is maybe a bit more light-footed this time, doesn't want to cause another cave-in, and heads off to the left.
You go down this hallway, and for a moment, the stench of burnt meat returns. It's not overpowering this time, but it is distinctly present. Until you come into a room with a couple scrap notes on the ground. One on your left as you enter, the other on the opposite left corner, if you will. One is northwest, the other northeast. In
Northwestern note.
In the
sorry, go on.
center of the room, however, is a deep charnel pit filled with ash-covered bones.
Ash-covered bones.
Also, we are coming up on the next 5-minute and 15-minute pops.
Okay. So, as you stare at the old and charred bones, the area around you changes.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, you are out in the open, on open ground, but the floor around you is warped and twisted by, well, you can't exactly identify it until you look up and see a sky singularly dominated by a black hole.
Unfortunate.
The world, as you stand on it, seems to edge closer and closer, the ground before you continuing to twist and warp under the intense gravity of the black hole.
Right, Jeff puts his hand on the ground again.
Jeff manages to steady himself for a time, but as he is about to be sucked into the yawning vortex, he is brought back to the basement abattoir.
Okay, back to the first fork. Down the left fork.
Well, so you don't even look at the notes on the ground. You just leave the.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
I want to look at the notes.
Yeah. So the one in the northwest corner. Which one is that? Reads, as the smoke rose in thick black clouds that shone with a hideous, baleful light, I realized my many years of research had paid off, and the power coveted by the ancients would be mine at last. The other is a smudged alchemical formula. You can see H something plus SO something dash scratched out plus fire.
H something plus SO something plus dash plus fire?
Yes.
Alright. Can Jeff call upon his science, chemistry knowledge to try and figure out what needs to go into this combustion reaction?
Yes.
Alright. May I roll?
Yes.
Sorry.
All good.
15. Under 51.
All right. So, you realize, actually, that this is... whoever wrote this clearly was not much of a scientist, because the plus fire is rather incorrect. The proper grouping, as you note, should be the chemical reaction as, like, a quantity plus fire. As in that you should add fire to what is left after the reaction.
Okay.
The reaction itself, however, between looking longer and harder at the paper, you notice to be water plus sulfate to give sulfuric acid.
Sulfuric acid. Okay.
Do you have like an alchemy or occult roll of any, or occult skill, anything like that?
Yes, Jeff's boyfriend is a tattoo artist in Cheyenne, Wyoming, excuse me, and is slightly into the occult, and Jeff's picked up a bit of occulty stuff.
All right, give me an occult roll.
Okay, 00 and then a 4. So 4, far under Jeff's 35 occult.
All right. So, seeing this sparked something in your memory. You remember that vitriol was actually the old name for sulfuric acid.
Interesting. So this is what Jeff needs to dilute per the journal's instructions?
So you can now tell that the instruction dilute the vitriolite effectively means get whatever reagents are in the chest alluded to earlier and use that to make sulfuric acid.
Interesting. Okay.
We are also coming
Jeff...
up on the next 5 and 10 minute pops.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that all the branches that are in the underground passage?
No, there is there's the way that goes off left from the first branch.
Right. Yeah, Jeff backs all the way out and goes left down that corridor.
It's about as long as the first corridor, but there's no second split. And eventually, you come to a truly hideous sight. It is a massive pit that goes far below ground, and nearly on level with you, you can see a massive stone altar, and set behind it a throne worked from bones and flesh. Both of these set atop a massive pile of human remains.
Okay, so...
And on that note, the walls around you, formerly dirt, begin to change before your eyes until they are made of dripping, bleeding, wet meat. Even more powerful than from the pit itself, your nose is filled with the stench of blood and abattoir runoff, overpowering your senses and driving you to the ground, leaving you there for a couple minutes as meat and blood cover all of your senses, until eventually, like all the rest, it goes. Give me a sand roll.
Yeah, Jeff is gross crying.
Poor Jeff.
Alright, this is a 46, which... exceeds 44.
Oof.
All right. Let's go d6 sand damage.
That's a 1.
God damn it.
Poor choice with the d6.
Yeah.
Roll the other d6, my guy.
Yeah.
Alright. Okay, no chests in this room?
No chests in that room.
Okay, Jeff zips up the tunnel all the way back to the house. Okay. Where would there be a chest? Jeff is going to check the study room again, and this time spend more time inside.
And there it is, on the southeast corner of the room, by yet another door on what should have been an exterior wall, is a chest that is most definitely locked.
Jeff opens the door.
Another sitting room.
Jeff shuts the door. Alright, let's see. Chest is locked. Search the desk for a key.
The desk, anything that was once in the desk has long since rotted away.
Chest needs to be opened. Jeff strikes a pose, points at the chest, says Iacta.
No such luck.
Oh gosh, okay. Damn. Let's see.
I really like that image, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to have heart, right? Nothing is in this desk. What time of day is it by this point?
By now it'd be getting close to evening.
Alright, Jeff is going to move over to the telescope and look out through it.
You're not sure what it is, but you can't really see anything special through it at the moment.
Okay. Jeff makes sure not to disturb its configuration. And then, oh gosh. Okay, back to the chest room. Jeff is going to try and just wrench the thing open, I suppose.
Okay. Do you have, like, a lockpicking skill, or are you just gonna try to strength?
Jeff's locksmith skill is 1.
Nice.
Oof.
Can I persuade the lock to open? I have 65.
You cannot.
Yes, but you have a plus 45 to that. Or a minus 65 to that, I should say.
Unfortunate. God. Jeff's guitar is still in the van too, so he can't like bash it open. Oof.
We're coming up on our next 5-minute pop.
Alright.
Oh no. Alright, can Jeff remember like anything heavy in any of the rooms that he's been through? Besides like the telescope, which he is unwilling to move?
There were some decent sized looking pieces of stone in the room that was all rubble.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, okay, back up to the 3rd floor. A moderately sized room on the left with all the rubble that's disappearing.
Yeah.
Grab
As
a
you
chunk
walk
of
in,
stone.
give me a spot hidden roll, actually.
Yes, sir. That is a 44 above my 25.
Okay, yeah. You don't. Oh wait. Yeah. No, you don't really. You don't find anything. I mean, a good sized piece of stone, but
Can I find me a... Okay, is it a sharp stone?
not really.
Okay, just gonna look for a stone that a monkey could be proud of.
All right. Give me another spot hidden roll at plus 10.
Plus 10 to my skill or plus 10
Skill.
to my roll? Thank you. Alright, that is a 90 above my 35. Alright.
You end up
Does this
wandering
count
into
as
the
a
sitting
push?
area briefly.
Jeff
gosh.
does not find a rock a monkey would be proud of.
Oh, Jeff is inferior to the average monkey, I suppose. Alright, he's gonna take his current rock then.
All right.
Wander over to the chest, try to bash it open.
give me some form of melee skill roll
Okay.
at plus 20.
Fighting Brawl plus 20 gives me a 45. And with a 39, I do manage it.
All right. Yeah, it takes you a couple solid swings, but you do eventually manage to break the lock.
Perf. Okay, what's inside?
Inside is a lump of red phosphorus,
Mm-hmm.
a small vial labeled vitriolite,
Mm-hmm.
another vial of water,
Mm-hmm.
and a strange device. It's vaguely cylindrical, about half a meter high and about 20 centimeters in radius, that has some label on it that is in Greek.
20 centimeters in radius. This is a voluminous boy.
Yeah.
Like one Greek symbol?
Well, 3 Greek words.
3 Greek. Oh, damn. Okay. Some high school calculus isn't going to help that, I don't think.
Sadly not.
Okay, how heavy is this thing? Does it look like it can be opened?
It doesn't look like it can be opened, but there do appear to be what almost look like jump leads, or like attachments for jump cables on the top.
Jump cables. Jump cables. Where is Jeff going to get electricity? Well, all the same, he's gonna grab everything in the chest and drag it down to the altar room.
All right. And what do you do once there?
Okay. Let's see. There has to be a hexagram with a hyperbolic star in it.
All I'm gonna say is work fast.
Oh gosh, something has to be etched. Something has to be etched. Does this big cylinder have any sharp corners that Jeff can etch the altar with? Oh, actually, Jeff's gonna look at the altar. Is there already an etching?
There is not, but there is. Oh, I say that. There is a pattern in the vague shape that the journal suggested that has been carved in, but you'll remember that the exact word used was scourge, and that you were told to specifically use the sulfuric acid to do it.
Right, okay. Can Jeff use science to, like, perform a suitable dilution of the sulfuric acid then?
I mean, I'm not even going to make you roll for that. It's basically just pour the water in one thing, shake.
Pour water into acid and shake?
I mean, it's like pour water into sulfate, cap, mix.
Okay, yeah, Jeff does that. And then he's gonna use that and try to acid, scourge, scour, burn, etch the proper design into the altar.
Yeah. Alex, what skill do you think would be best used for acid etching?
I'm going to pause while I answer this question.
I would say craft instrument, because that's what I have.
I think craft instrument is reasonable, but that it should have a negative modifier to it.
Okay, that was what I was thinking. All right. So yeah, give me craft instrument at -15.
Okay, Jeff applies his guitar skills to this process.
Guitar building skill.
There we go. Yeah, he maintains his own boy. All right. And this is a 26, which comes in under 50.
All right, you successfully acid scourged the correct pattern.
I really should say, like, so I'm paused while I'm saying this, but we are at the point where you might want to start talking quickly too.
Oh, of course. And Jeff, like, whips out the journal, turns to the page, De Stellaris Touche, etc. Walks around 3 times anti-clockwise. like splashes alcohol all over like the throne as well.
Strangely enough, nothing happens when you do that.
Do you guys hear that?
Is that time?
Uh-oh.
That is the time.
As
Oh, no.
you fail the ritual, you see this hideous black presence seeping out from the throne and the altar. It doesn't consume you immediately so much as it does take you bodily from where you watch the house, now bloated with additional rooms that were not before, extend and spread over the landscape, a landscape that becomes rotted and corrupted with the power flowing through it. And the last sight you see before having your very existence ripped asunder is of a pale, baleful light glowing from the inside of this infested house.
Oh no, sad. All right.
Very well fought, though.
Gosh, I feel like I was close. If only Jeff liked languages more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, listeners, for tuning in to one man's ultimately doomed struggle against an alien malignance from beyond the stars. Be sure to tune in next week to see what not Lovecraftian horror thing we have in store.
Yeah, you'll be DMing next one, won't you, Derek?
Yes, I will.
And I believe I will be playing.
That makes sense.
And I think the system will be 5th edition by what our rotation currently looks like.
All right, that sounds good.
Awesome. Hope to see all of you next time, and Darkest Dungeons sponsor us.
Oh, wow.
No, that's a request.
That would be great. Yes, of course, of course.
In addition to our 3 GMs, I would like to give a big thank you to Lyrica Yanaway and Casey Ahern, our editor and manager. I would also love to give a huge shout out to Dana Bulger for being our additional outside help in the editing sphere. As for our logo, if you'd like how that looks, and boy is it snazzy, you can find a link in our description to the awesome artist who created it. As always, thanks for tuning in, and happy adventures.